Oh, let's get started. In the start, I just like love asking people a little bit about their journey in their career as a musician, right? So, what was some business advice related to getting signed or progressing in your music career that you got that you wished you'd have gotten sooner?
Yes, business advice that I wish I had gotten sooner. I think generally I'm pretty lucky that uh, everything that I did was quite early. I had my first releases still during college, so there's nothing that I wish I would have known sooner. Um, but and yeah, the releases just kind of happened naturally, step by step. Um, I think generally something I noticed lately is that you can do a lot more than you think or than I think. When you read internet forums, people always say, "Hey, you can't mix on headphones, you can't do this, you can't master your own track." But in my experience, it's perfectly fine to do everything with the things you have. Mix your own music, master it. You can make artwork for it. Just take some photos, take some videos. Um, you can make your own promo. You can play it live even when it's not mixed. Um, yeah, I think the most important thing that it's uh, authentic and your thing, and you don't need to wait for permission from any label. Um, if someone's not replying to you or not replying to your demos, just release it yourself and send it maybe to your favorite DJs, and just keep doing that.
Nice. I actually had a follow-up question to that, if you don't mind. What did you do to build your promo list or, list of DJs who you can send music to if you sent it by yourself and you released your own music? Did you reach out to PR teams or did you just do it by yourself?
Usually the labels that, well, for example, Anjunadeep has their promo campaigns. Other labels work with different promo companies, and yeah, they make sure to send it to DJs, which is of course a big advantage of working with a label. And other than that, I made some friends whose music I also admire on the shows I played or just went to, and um, who also I know we're like on the same wavelength with music. So I can also like send them a link if I think that they will like it, just in like WhatsApp or Instagram. But I don't have like my own promo list or something like
Oh,
that.
okay. If you want one, I can get you one. But as that's a good segue to the next question. Who are some of the people that have helped you get to the point in your music career, and how have they helped you exactly? For example, like, I know you work with management and other people like booking agencies, booking agents, etc. Who's kind of helped you in your career and like progress your career?
Well, I have to say it's a lot of people. It can't really be narrowed down to one person. It's a
Mhm.
big community, and everyone who speaks about it or recommends it to a friend makes a big difference. I think word of mouth is probably still quite the way to find out new music. When, for example, when a friend of you shows you something, that's always um, usually a lot better than when you get an email. So yeah, a lot of people who I probably don't even know. But in general, the biggest difference, or I think my managers made the biggest difference. Nate and John, great guys. They helped me navigate the industry side of things, which I didn't know anything about, which agreements are good, which are bad. In the beginning, for example, I signed away some publishing rights without even knowing that, like for a track, not a big deal, but
Mhm.
like when you don't know what you're signing and don't know what it all means, managers can really help you, even though it's not directly their job. Like ideally, it's a lawyer, but yeah. So I think my managers, of course, also the labels I've worked with, the whole team over at Anjuna, they're fantastic, and Purified, the first little independent label I released with, who decided to release my music, even though no one, had like 10 SoundCloud followers or something. and the guy on Spotify who put that in the playlist a while later. So yeah, that all made a big difference.
Amazing. Yeah, I love Purified as a label. They're so helpful, and you always want to pay attention to those labels that are like helpful and also doing things right because they can really launch your career a lot of the times. And I know Lauren Pure, she's such a gem. Like she's actually a great person. She's
Yeah,
such a so helpful. Like
love her.
even and just the personality, right? No ego, just supportive, just ready to, meet you and help the ocean. Honestly, that's one of the things that actually attracts me about that label so much is it has a thing outside of just like making money and good music. It has like a purpose, which is super cool to see. So okay, so
Absolutely love her.
yeah, great vibes. Okay, so the next question I had was, what do you wish new producers who are trying to get signed to labels focus on in order to increase their chances to get on labels like Anjunadeep?
Um, yeah, that's like the question you get a lot. That also I asked myself a lot when I was, a couple years ago. I think the most important thing is to do your thing, that really to tell your own story. And if you don't know it yet, take your time and start figuring it out. Don't try to make, just one great song or hits or bangers. I don't think the music that became hits eventually was planned to be that way. Um, make a lot of music, make a lot of bad music and enjoy that. And some of it will be good. Um, you know, uh, Take full advantage of the things you can do as an independent artist.
Hmm.
If you don't have a label, of course, you think you have a lot of disadvantages, but if you look at the positive things, there's also, you have so much freedom. You can release what you want, when you want. No one can tell you anything. You can do any sort of promo that you want. Um, you can make your own schedule. So take full advantage of that and do what inspires you and what you want to do. And that will just help building up your own authentic profile. And I think this is exactly what a label is interested in. Um, and then if you have that is so valuable, as opposed to, trying to copy whatever sound is popular right now. Uh, it kind of yeah, I think a label wants an artist with a story, with an authentic story. So, do your thing and um yeah, don't copy whatever seems to be popular right now because it will change in the next 2 years anyway.
Hmm. True. That's well said. That's some motivational stuff, honestly. I wasn't expecting David Goggins
Cool.
to show up, but there you are. All
But
right.
yeah,
So,
just like over years and months, just
yeah.
keep making songs and upload them, even if
Mhm.
they're not perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't wait for one song that might get signed or not. Just keep
Yeah.
doing your thing.
Yeah, a lot of my students, I try to drill this in their head is like you don't even know what songs of yours are going to get popular or are going to be recognized better, are going to get signed because a lot of the times we have this idea of the best song that we've made, the stuff that we like, etc. But it's once you've made the art, it's for the world. It's not for you anymore. And a person who might be struggling from depression or something might listen to your one song and that could be your one stream on that song and it could have saved their lives. So like just put it out. Don't stress too much. Obviously try to like make it clean as much as you can, but yeah, don't be afraid to iterate over multiple songs, right? Putting it out versus like trying to be perfect about it. Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing that I noticed though is like you said, make your own style of music, blah blah blah, and I agree with that. But do you think that labels have a very defined sound, and they're so well catered to their audiences, right? For example, on Deep, Purified's going a little bit more on the melodic techno side right now, on the progressive side, and even small things like the chord progressions, how much hall reverb to use, what kind of kick drum to be used, as well as other aspects of like the type of hats they use can be defined as their sound. Like, do you have any habits or practices towards making sure the songs fit the vibe of the label before you send the music out? Or is it just instinctive? Like, I just make good music and then send it out, whether or not I feel that it fits the label or not.
Um, yeah, I think it's like about your taste and how you feel about the music and how you feel about the music on the label, which of course develops over the year. I definitely have sent some shitty music to labels that didn't fit them at all a long time ago. So it's something that develops over time. But at the same time, I think every label is trying to do something new, or at least every good label. So it's good to be different. It's good to I think have the same feel or the underlying, message or feeling of a label. If you can get that, and if you think that your music carries the same energy, and fits in the same general context, like it's also a dance track, and not like a heavy metal track, then it's fine if it's slightly different. And I think every label is looking for something new. So it doesn't have to be exactly like what they're releasing right now. Um, but in the end, it's up to your taste. And I also just saw a comment from Benjamin. He said, I just wanted to reply to that. If your music is trash, people will flag you and not listen to you, if you put everything out. Um, yeah, I that's a good point. For example, for me, I had like three different aliases before where I uploaded music there, and then I realized, okay, I want to do something else now, and this was real trash. And then I just made a new name and started over. So yeah, everyone's music is trash, but you still should put it out. You don't have to put your name and face on it. Um, and eventually, after the third time of changing your name, it will be something, But
Yeah.
still, if I hadn't had done that three times, then I wouldn't have come to Resident and that sound.
Yeah, I think getting user feedback is definitely better than like getting feedback always from your own mind. But yeah, that's funny that you made two aliases. Bro, you're giving bad advice. No, no, no. That's good. That's actually good advice. I think just, when you release it, you can always release it in like SoundCloud channels that are just created fresh from start or something if you're not confident about it and see how people react as long as your hashtags and all that stuff is solid, right? And I mean, just have good quality control, right? You can come to our feedback sessions if you want, and we can give you some like decent direction. And we host that pretty much weekly. So you can join our Discord group. If you haven't joined us, I can send you a link in the chat so you guys can just join that. And yeah, just generally being very reference oriented. I think that's one of the biggest things that I teach my students. My biggest, you know, thing that I've helped people understand is just like reference tracks that you feel are the best tracks in your style. And just have like some people who are really good at your style of music, the music that you think is like very close to your style, and just like put it under a microscope, right? Like analyze it, put it like listen to it over and over and by looping it in your DAW and just like segmenting it into like mid, stereo, lows, mids, highs, all of that stuff, and just like dig deep, right? With that said, we actually have two spots available for mentorship. If you want to join us, we have it's me, Crimson, and Dave Yu, who are both signed to like Purified Records, Zero Three, etc., etc. And we're taking students. Our students have gotten signed to labels such as Colorize, Purified, and many other labels such as that. And yeah, we have two spots. You have to apply for them. Unfortunately, it's just that we're doing this one-on-one. So we do one-on-one. So we don't have enough to accommodate people. That's why we have an application process where you submit your best track and we kind of see where you are and what your motivations are. And then we give you one free call where you can just ask us questions as well as you can go ahead and just give us a track that we can give you feedback on, etc. Right? So go ahead and sign up. It's on bit.ly/get signed hyphen apply. All right. Enough of that stuff, the plugging stuff. Let's get into the production side of things. I would love to hear more about your production habits, right? So what are like three production habits that you have that you recommend other producers adapt?
Yes, I thought about that. I wrote down three habits. One is every time you start a new session, make yourself arrange it, even if it's, just a nothing, just a arpeggio or a drum sound. Make yourself arrange it in like 10 minutes and export an MP3. Well, first of all, make yourself arrange it.
Hmm.
The second one is export the MP3. And when you start the next session, save the project file under a new name. So you can see the progress from a track and go back to a previous version, but at the same time have a instant preview of each version that you make. And take a lot of breaks. That's the third one. Take a lot of breaks. Go for a walk and listen to what you made, and pay attention to what you like and what you don't. For me, oftentimes I realized that somehow the outro section always is like the best one. And then I just took that and in the next version, just discarded everything else and started over. Yeah.
Nice. That's a great that's a great actually. I'm gonna start applying them actually. I think it's like everybody's so afraid of arrangement, especially, right? Like it becomes like the more boring part of the track. But as you get better and better at music and you start getting more success, you realize like that is songwriting. Like that is such a huge aspect of just writing music in general. Like it is the priority in every other style, like pop music, everything. It's just such a priority. And I think we just like get bored with it because we just don't know all the metrics behind it, right? And the answer to every problem is referencing. So reference your arrangements till you get comfortable. Okay, next question. What do you think defines your signature sound? How important is it to have one, and how did you come about yours?
Um, I don't really know how to put it in words, but I'm always happy when people say that they can recognize my sound. Um, I think it's about developing your own taste and certain techniques that you like do that you really enjoy doing, like maybe a special way to edit drums or special effects that you know really well. Um, and maybe it's about developing an ear for things that you like and finding them in this, listen through loops or through samples and being able to tell, okay, this little snippet is what I like. And I think eventually that is the signature sound. It's the continuous selection, making the continuous choice of what you like and putting it in the track. I think for me, probably melodic, moody chords and reverb, arpeggios. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think it's about using the same presets again and again,
Mhm.
but more that with the things that you do, you will end up, yeah, with a cohesive um, sound, even if you're doing slightly different genres from release to release.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah, I've seen that happen, but then you're speaking from the experience of being like very good at and loving the same style of music. Because I've met people who are making like tech house and then like melodic techno, and then they're making melodic house and stuff. And when it comes to just their signature sound, there is none. So you gotta like it depends for who
Mhm.
pe so for me it was like that, right? I used to create so many styles. So what I've realized is like for me like using presets and stuff that I've like perfected over time has helped me develop that you know, style. But it's always good to hear someone else's perspective on it because like not everybody has ADHD and having
Yeah,
ADHD like for me it's helped me want to make new sounds all the time, which kind of like it's almost like your reset button on your career every time you release a song that's like a completely different genre and style and people can't like go back to identify that that was your song, right?
yeah.
Because the
But I
people,
mean, for example, like Skrillex,
yeah,
I feel like with even the Justin Bieber songs he does,
yeah,
like, or the Ed Sheeran song, you can
mhm,
something about the drums or the mix.
yeah,
I feel like sounds like him, even though, and
yeah,
then he does like a dubstep song. So there are some artists out there who can cross
yeah,
the different
yeah,
genres and still somehow have something there that reminds me of them. But
100%,
yeah, that's
100%.
a really hard thing to pull off.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Skrillex is a master of that, honestly. All right. So that was, yeah, I think your signature sounds definitely like are the chord progressions and the pads and yeah, the pads especially and just the analogy vibe. I don't know what you do for that, but I would love to see once you go into echoes.
The
Um,
pads,
s- huh? The pads,
you,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, we can look at that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what is one tutorial course or mentorship or masterclass that you took that you think really benefited you and really steered you in the right direction?
So when I started out, I was watching a lot of tutorials. It was when there were already good tutorials out there, but probably not as many as today. I think probably today the quality has gone up. But back then I was making dubstep, and there was this video course by Seamless R. He was making these sound design courses using all sorts of techniques, and for me that was um, a good package to really learn about all the crazy sound design techniques that exist. I also watched the Deadmau5 masterclass because he was one of the inspirations for me. That was really fun to watch, but I can't really say that it steered me in the right direction. And also the Seamless one, it also didn't really steer me in the deep house direction. So I think that kind of happened by itself.
Yeah, this is the cardinal sin of EDM.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah,
that ad
exactly.
is stuck in my head, dude.
But I
Uh,
think your friends around you and the like, if you that will steer you in the right direction. Like if you yeah, you'll see what they like and what you like, and that has something that you won't really get from a playlist somewhere. It's like the people in your area, what's happening there. I think that can steer you in the right direction as well.
cool. That's very interesting because like you're from Berlin and like Berlin is like known for very deep, dark techno, I would think, right? Did that have any sort of like influence on you at all?
So when I start like when Resident became a slowly, a thing with the first release, I was in Stuttgart in southern Germany, and Deep House was quite popular there. Like close to the Black Forest. Yeah, it was. I found a lot of people listening to that, and that was really cool. In Berlin, yeah, it's not exactly my music, but sometimes, yeah. We'll see you at Kit Kat later then. Okay, going through the questions. What are your greatest inspirations artistically? There's been a ton of artists and they changed throughout the years. Originally, I loved Deadmau5. I still do, but so yeah, Deadmau5 was like one of the earliest one. Very recently, I really love Jasper Teigner, if you know him. Big fan of his work. Um, and in between, there were so many artists. Bonobo is great. I also really like Flume, and it still like inspires me for my drum patterns and stuff like that. Um, I have a playlist on Spotify that's called Resident Selections where I put my favorites that also inspire me. And there's like 300 tracks in there or 200. Yeah. How much time do you spend on sound design or do you scroll for presets? I do scroll for presets quite often. Um, but then I also spend a lot of time on sound design. Um, Sometimes I also replace a whole sound in the end with something else. But I definitely use presets and browse through them because it's so much fun. It's like being in a, I don't know, arcade or something, and you just click and get another crazy sound, and it's very inspiring, I think. So I think sample packs are great, or preset packs. I don't really have any, well, just the ones that come with the plugin. And sometimes like an artist, when they make one and like I know them, they send me the pack. However, having a really good preset pack is really good because a lot of the default presets can be bad.
Mhm.
So having a good preset pack is very valuable with sounds that you like and that fit the genre. How do you balance the number of ideas, calls, responses, melodies, and decide when enough is enough? Um, is it better to focus on a core idea and spend more time on arrangement and automation? Um, I would say go for a walk and listen to your track and see how you feel about it. And that will give you the answers. I think that's a good way to feel about what's enough and what not. Um, yeah, it's always a balance, and finding that balance is what will, be make your sound and your music be the way it is. Um, for me, I think a core idea is very important, and then I'd rather have a cool loop that's 16 bars and then just changing it a little throughout the song than having it change completely all the time. But that's also very much an artistic choice that everyone can make for themselves. The most time for me is spent on mixing. There's also a lot to learn there, and it's quite hard when you're comparing yourself to the professional tracks that are made by these, big pros in a big studio who've been doing it for 40 years and are just geniuses. And of course, you want to make music on the same level, but 40 years of, I think they're just way faster and get better results. So, but as I said before, the most important thing is the idea and not the mix down. Yeah. What about the mixing style? Where did you develop yours? You're very methodological. Um, I'm still learning how to mix really well. Lately, I've been learning more about mid-side thing and having things mono compatible. Um, I'd say my mixing style is quite simple because I don't do any bus processing. I try to do everything on a per track basis. Um, and then I just keep adding stuff. However, I don't think it's perfect. Like some of the signal chains you've seen here are way too big. I'm removing frequencies and adding them again. In the future, I hope I will be able to get what I want from just like one or two EQs and keep it simple. I think that's the end goal. Um, and of course, I try to name everything, to give everything a name. Um, this is not just something I prepared for the session. It's like that in all of my sessions. In the pad group, everything is called pad, and then a short description of what it is. Could be any word. I think that really helps with mixing as well, because you'll spend less time scrolling around. Have you ever been in Berghain? No, maybe today. What's your naming scheme for different project file versions? Oh yeah, I think it's here. So I give each track a number. I first I start with just numbers. Then I switched to a laptop and I added an X before the numbers. Um, yeah, because I started over but I didn't want to use the same file names. And when I got the MacBook, I started again over with M before the numbers. So this is the 203rd idea I made on this laptop, and then I just keep adding numbers behind it for each version that I make. So this is 203rd song, version 26, and so on. And this looks like a lot, but sometimes I make a new save every 20 minutes because I'm afraid I'm going to break something. So again, I hope in the future this will be less.
How do you usually like to structure your sends? Do you also sometimes like to use an effect rack to add in reverb delay? And if so, how do you decide when to send it or to do the insert effect?
Yeah, I don't use Sense at all. I don't like how if you can't import it in between different Ableton projects. Um, like you can open one Ableton project and import tracks from another one, but not the Sense. I yeah, I don't like them, so I always use audio effect tracks.
When you are writing top melodies, can you go over the workflow? Are you having your chords and bass lines playing at in a 4-bar loop, 16-bar loop? Do you use a keyboard analog synth to trial several takes, or do you use your mouse and click notes? So that's a lot of questions in one, but I guess
Yeah.
how do you write your top melodies and what's your like process for that?
So I think, as I said, go for a walk and listen to a track, and somehow, it's like then something comes up, especially if there's lots of little things going on. Your brain will like fill in the blanks, and at least that's how it feels like for me. And then there will be like a rough melody idea. Um, or if I have something, I add a delay to it, and then it also can be interesting, and new melody ideas can come from that. Um, Sometimes I use the Ableton Push to play them in. Usually I draw them in with the mouse. Um, yeah. Uh, and I use take lanes a lot for vocal recording or drum recording. I use them all the time. But since melodies are MIDI, I like if I have one version, I put it on a separate track take lane and make a new one, and then I can like switch back between them. So I do use them for that as well.
Very cool. So okay, I noticed you're using drum rack for hats. Do you recommend using drum rack every time, or is it just for you to switch between samples, just like your kick?
I use it for, I think, every sound that has a clear beginning, like a kick or a tom, with sounds that are like slowly coming in and like a shaker. Um, it depends. Sometimes it's easier, especially if it's like a loop or if it's more of a textural sound, it can be easier to work with audio and you get access to all the warping functions there as well. So for kicks and usually for claps, I use a drum rack, and for heads that are very clicky, and for other things, I use just audio.
Cool. There's two more really good questions I feel like I couldn't skip over. So let me quickly shout them out to you. So Anjunadeep has some very specific requirements for extended mixes, it seems. Care to share or comment on this?
Can you repeat the question? For
It's like,
extended mixes?
yeah, Anjunadeep has some it seems that Anjunadeep has very specific requirements for extended mixes. How do you how do you approach extended versions of your track?
Um, well, I haven't heard of the requirements, but I do get, what I do like is they have given me really good feedback.
Hmm.
Um, but that feedback so far has never been about the intros and
Sim.
outros.
Hmm.
I know that some of my tracks are really hard to mix in and out of, so it's something I work on.
Hmm.
Um, I think what I said in the end in the
Yeah,
video of the
music.
track is like having this melodic element that's not part of a specific musical scale.
Hmm.
That's really nice to have in the intro and outro
Yeah.
because you can mix it with any other song. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but most importantly, the arrangement should serve the idea of the song. And um, there's so much music out there. Even if it's a bit weird, there will be a couple of perfect songs to mix in and out of it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Do you reference while mixing down?
Yes, I just started doing that very recently. I wish oh yeah, that's one of the things I wish I had that advice, of
Hmm.
course, reading through it, but I never really did it.
Hmm.
Recently I started referencing um using this reference AB plugin, which also gain stages everything for you.
Is it the
And
adapter
yeah,
metric? Yeah, I love that one.
um I think referencing just like spectrum analyzers are can lead you to the wrong path where you just try to make everything look perfect and sound identical.
Hmm.
Um, I think if you just use it to get a rough idea of the playing field, it's great. Um, but for me, I didn't use it because I would get overly focused on making it sound the same. And even, if every track is different, it does need a different sound to it as well. Um, but referencing, yeah, it's very important if you do it right, I would say.
Yeah, perfect. I think these were most of the important, great questions that I feel like you could answer, man. Thank you again for doing this and dedicating your time to, give us your insight. This is super, super insightful. Just before we go, we have 2 slots remaining for our mentorship program, which Dave, you and I are running. So if you're looking to apply for that, go on bit.ly/get signed hyphen apply. That's good. That's where you can apply for it. And the mentorship students are going to get previous master classes. I'm also going to start a Patreon with master classes recording. So if you guys subscribe, you can support other artists, etc. We also are going to be putting out this class in the form of small tutorials on YouTube. You can also join our Discord to talk to other producers just like yourself to help each other and get better and get, signed as well as make a career out of it because nothing is more rewarding than living a life of music. Am I right, buddy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys later. If you haven't joined our Discord, I'll li post the link and we will drop off, but you guys can sign up as you please. And then I will shut off the call in a bit. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
again,
so much for
buddy.
tuning in.
Catch you later.